Hey guys, welcome to another guitar lesson. This time we're going to do Hands First Flower. It's attributed to the Melvins, but in reality it was probably 100% from the mind of Joe Preston. It appears on the Joe Preston EP and clocks in almost 23 minutes long. It was released in '92, which is only a year after Earth's first EP, which is called Extracapsular Extraction, which also featured Joe Preston on bass. So this is like the origins of drone metal as we know it today. So even though the song is really long, it only has a few riffs and variations. So I'll try to keep it fairly short for the purposes of this lesson. I am in B standard tuning, which is from low to high: B, E, A, D, F sharp, and B. Now I add this disclaimer here. I've learned this by ear, and my ear is not very experienced, so take this with a grain of salt. I have no idea if Joe was using B standard tuning or drop B or some other variation, and I have no idea how he actually played this, so this is just as close as I can get. So here we go. So the first riff of the song, it's I'll play the complete riff and then I'll explain after. So here we go. So that's the whole riff, and that's like the main part of the first, I don't know, third or so of the song, I guess. But he builds into it. So first you'll hear just this, and then after a couple of repeats of that, he expands it to and then you get to the full riff. So the full riff is just going to be basically the same as an E power chord if you're in standard tuning. So open low string, second fret on the A and D strings, mute the G string with the underside of your finger, and you can play the open top strings as well. So, or if you're not comfortable with that, just play the open low string and second fret A and D. After that, you're going to play power chords on the A and D strings. So it's going to be 8th fret and 10th fret, down to 7th and 9th fret. And through all this, try to keep that low B string droning. So far. So you hit the 7th and 9th fret again. Go to 6 on the A string. And all of this still has the low B droning underneath. So 6th fret. And then you're going to hit the 3rd fret and slide up to 10. Hit the low B string once by itself. And then 13 on the A string. So once again, all together it'd be like this. So that's it for that riff. Moving on. So the second riff is basically just a variation of the first one. It's going to start the same way. Now after that, there's a dissonant chord. I can't really make out what it is, but this is the closest approximation I got. Basically, it's just, it sounds like he's just going for dissonance, but I don't know exactly how he did it. But what I do is when I get here, I go to the 3rd fret, A string, and you can play the 5th fret as well on the D, but it should be fine if you just play the open low string and the 3rd fret A string. So it sounds like this. Or like this if you have the full power chord. It's just kind of a warbly mess, I guess. Anyway, that's how I do it. And then you go from there to 3rd fret low string, 5th fret A string. So all together it should be like this. And that's the second riff. The third riff is a variation again, and you only, I don't know if you only hear it, but you hear it as a second guitar while the first guitar is playing that second riff, and the other guitar starts to do this. So that's all power chords on the A and D strings, starting with 10 and 12, 9 and 11, 5 and 7, 8 and 10, 7 and 9. And then you do the dissonant chord again, which I missed in my demonstration. Followed by the G power chord shape on the bottom. So that plays a couple of times. It goes back to the second riff a couple of times, and then it ends on this. So that will come after this part. And then you just play that G power chord shape on the bottom, but move the low string from 3 to 2. Let it fade out. Back to 3 and 5, and then open 2 and 2. And then that fades out. So the next riff comes when you start hearing the marching noises, and I'll show you that here next. So riff 4 is going to be when you hear the marching noises. And it's a repeating riff. So I'll play the first repetition, and then I'll show you how many times, or at least how many repeats, and then, because it'll repeat a few times, and then the ending changes, and then that whole bit repeats. So I'll start with the repeating part. So it's going to be all power chords on the bottom two strings. So you start with 4 and 6. Then you go to 1 and 3. Then 7 and 9. And those three will repeat 3 times. And then you play this. So that's 4 and 6, 1 and 3, and 0 and 2. And then you go back to 4 and 6, 1 and 3, 9 and 7. They repeat 3 times again, you play that ending again, and that's what cycles through. And the last bit doesn't start until you hear the whistling sounds. So we'll get to that next. Okay, so this last bit, when you hear the whistling sound start, there's going to be basically 3 different riffs that repeat twice each, and then an ending. And then, so anyway, we'll start with the first one. And they're all really simple. The first one's going to be power chords on the low 2 strings. So it'll start with this, 7 and 9 rather, then 3 and 5, back to 7 and 9, and then 1 and 3. Play that twice. So the second riff starts off at 7 and 9 on the A and D strings. Then 4 and 6 on the bottom 2, 5 and 7 on the A and D, then 2 and 4 on the bottom 2. And that repeats twice. So the next one starts at 5 and 7 on the A and D strings, moves up 1 fret, down 1 fret, then 2 and 4 on the low strings, and that repeats twice. And then the final part starts at 5 and 7 on the A and D, eight and 10 on the A and D, and then 7 and 9 with the low open B ringing. That basically fades out, and the rest is just sort of random noodling by Joe. So, that's it for the lesson. Hopefully that was clear. Let me know how I did. Let me know if you even like this song. Anyway, I appreciate the watch, and take it easy, guys. I'll see you next time.